Hi and welcome back. I hope you had a great holiday, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Now we're all motivated to get started with weight loss, right? So this is your first follow-up visit, and hopefully everyone brought your notebook backs with us. And in here on the first page you should have the calendar. Sandy will be collecting that, but first I do want you to review it and make sure you've marked it accurately, that you've marked every day that you put the patch on and if you had any problems. And on the other page, maybe to explain anything that you put on there. On this page, to explain anything that you put on the calendar. And then Sandy will be collecting those, and she will make you a copy and put it back in your notebook at the end of the appointment. So this visit's going to be much like the last one, except we're also going to focus on any problems that you had this past month. I'll be looking at your calendars and asking you about any problems that you had, and then ask you the same questions we asked you last month about symptoms. Sandy will spend some time with you first, getting your blood pressure and heart rate and that while you're watching this video, and also taking your blood again. She will give you the results from the last month that we kind of discussed on the phone already. And you can look at it yourself, and if you have any other questions, we can go over those. Then when I get with you, we'll do the same thing, but I'm going to ask you about the side effects that you had, and also assess your level of interest in phase 2. As you remember, phase 2 goes for the whole rest of the year, and you would need to be available for follow-up visits in March, June, September, and December, and telephone appointments in between. We can't schedule exact times, but we're going to schedule tentative appointments for everybody for February for a telephone appointment, and March for an appointment here. The thing is, we don't know which of you are going to continue. Of course, if you're not interested in continuing, then we won't make you a follow-up appointment. If you are interested in continuing, then we'll make an appointment, but between now and then the sponsor and I will have to decide who's going to continue. They had only planned to have 25 people. It is, of course, costly to do the study and take the blood repeatedly, so they're only looking for 25 people. Another thing we're going to do today is give you patches. These are the actual patches. If you went to buy them, these would be the ones you'd get. And you'll get 2 months worth of these. Now you can have these patches even if you're not going to continue with phase 2. We have 2 months worth. If you don't want them at all, we'll just keep them. But if you do want them, fine. Now if you take them and you want to continue in phase 2, you also have to continue with your calendars. Now the calendars are almost the same. This is the one for January. We'll take a close-up of this, plus you should have one in your hand. But the only difference really is, instead of having the whole month on the whole interim period on one calendar, we have separate calendars. This one's for January, and then there's one for February, and one for March. You'd have 3 calendars. I'll just align them here. So if you're going to continue, even tentatively, you have a January, February, and March calendar. And I changed this a little bit, so at the bottom is where you can put additional problems. One of these calendars, the March one, doesn't have too much room at the bottom. So there's another paper here, which is the same as you had before, the patch instructions. So there's extra room here if you need to put any extra problems. You can explain it here. Plus, this explains again what to do. I'm going to go over that just for a minute. Mainly to make sure that you write down any problems that you have. They may not be side effects. Like if you get a cold, it's probably not a side effect of the patch. But still, if you'd write it down, then we can compare how many people with the patch have a problem versus maybe the general population. Okay, and then there's one more page, and that is about your next appointment. And I already told you most of that. This also says to continue with the diet and exercise. So that's 30 minutes of walking or the equivalent daily, and trying to follow a healthy diet that is mostly fruits and vegetables, not too much fats, and not much sugar. At the bottom of this is a tentative appointment for February and a tentative appointment for March. It's probably easier to schedule them now and cancel them than wait until the last minute. Part of our scheduling problem is that we are going to be starting another study, and we have to combine the two in one calendar so that we can do both at the same time. And speaking of the other study, we can't recruit for that just yet, but if you do not continue with phase 2 of this study, you may be able to enter the second study, which is it's a lot like this, but it's more for efficacy, more to see if you really lose weight and a few other things. Again, you'd have the patch like you have now. Not this one, you'll have the study patches for the other study. But I can't really talk about that other study just yet. Let's talk a minute about unblinding the study. That is to let you know if you have patch A or patch B. We can't do that until everybody finishes this part of the study. But we will let you know the results, and we pretty much plan to send you the results along with your next set of labs that you're having drawn today. So we'll just have one more mailing for you, but we will be calling you. In the meantime, Sandy will call you to discuss phase 2 in more detail. That would be before your February appointment. She'll need to get hold of you just to discuss whether you will be in phase 2 or not. Now that really is everything, except remember at the end of this we'll have a check for you for $25 to compensate you for your time and trouble, and also a little snack up front because you're probably hungry by now. I'll see you in just a few minutes.